Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Catz Battle of the Best, #1 of 2015. With me, Flying Whale, we're going to be co-casting this entire event. Now, yesterday we had a really big day. We did all the group stages. We had plenty of really cool games. And today, this is the finals day, basically. We're going to be going through the entire finals series. A few players that got, knocked out yesterday from the group stage managed to make their way back in. That is, Fake came back, Reynad came back, I believe Maverick came back, and Alish came back. Or was it Nimsh? I forget. But some of the players that got, thrown down to the losers bracket made their way back in. So we have a few interesting matches. You ready to cast them today, Will?
Oh, I'm so ready. Today's gonna be epic. So many good matches incoming. Oh, I just cannot wait. It's gonna be so great.
Yeah, I'm actually really hyped because we're gonna see again, Reynad play, and that means that hopefully we're gonna see more of that Miracle Rogue that he brought.
Yeah.
And there's this player, Fake yesterday that we saw play. He made the sickest Hex a Silver Hand Recruit, Earthshock a Silver Hand Recruit play that, like, in 99% of the cases, you look at that play and you think to yourself, this is such a throw. But if you think about the hand that he had and what he was dealt, it was the perfect follow-up, the best way for him to stick in the game, and to make a call like hexing a 1-1 and earth-shocking is it's just crazy. And I'd like to see him, maybe make more of those awesome plays today. So we're gonna see him play against Reynad later on. The first match of the day is gonna be Thijs versus Maverick. Do you know anything about Maverick? It's not a player that I'm very familiar with.
The only thing that I know is that I casted him last Monday and the games were pretty good. He made it through the qualifiers, so just like Alish, he really deserves his spot in today's finals because he had to go not only through yesterday's group stage, but also through the last week's qualifiers. So
Yeah.
both Alish and Maverick are gonna probably show some really great plays.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because Carlos, which won the previous Battle of the Best, got knocked out yesterday, unfortunately for him. He had some really nice decks, but unfortunately cannot showcase them anymore. This Mill Mage that he played, I think he played it excessively well up until the point where maybe there was a little mistake with that Iron Beak Owl. He didn't plan around it. And it was ultimately just close enough. He could have drawn the game, I think, if he just thought about it, and then maybe would have had to, replay the game. Not something you see very frequently in tournaments, but we came this close to getting it done. We're going to have another match as well with Ecop facing Alish, the up-and-coming... I mean, he qualified like Maverick through the qualifiers. And then we have Nimsh versus Firebat as the last of the first round of the finals. It'll be separated in 3 rounds, obviously. We have 4 matches in the round 1, and then 4 players will move on to round 2, and then 2 players to the very grand finals, where we're going to have the ultimate takedown, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And the players were not allowed to change decks between yesterday and today. I want to point that out.
Yeah, and just to be clear, yesterday was double elimination, but today's only single elimination. So you gotta win every match today if you want to get to the finals.
Yeah, there is no losers bracket at this point. It was, the losers bracket happened yesterday. We didn't cast all the games. We cast most of the ones that we could. But some games were played off screen, and the result is currently the finals round 1. With Thijs, Maverick, Reynad, Fake, Alish, and Ecop, Nimsh, and Firebat. So 8 players today contending for the first place, which is $1,200. Second place is going to be $600, and third and fourth place will both get $400. So if you get to the round 2, you're guaranteed a prize. So it doesn't matter whether you win or lose on round 2, you're still guaranteed to get something. So any player who wins his round 1 match is going to at least get $400, which is a pretty solid thing. And the first player is going to go away with the bulk of the prize, which is $1,200. Nothing to scoff at. Really interesting games that I'm expecting today. There's so many decks from those players that we saw yesterday, which were somewhat, nice twists on, very consistent stuff that we've seen on ladder.
Yeah, and also the giveaway that we talked about yesterday that's given away by Catz is still underway. So you can still go on facebook.com/madcats.german and then just comment about your favorite player in the tournament, and you could have a chance of winning a headset and a mouse tomorrow. So
yeah, you don't even have to predict the outcome. You don't have to bet on the right player. All you have to do is say who you think is favored, and you get a chance at winning that. So Catz, on Facebook.German. So it's pretty and it's good hardware. So I urge you to check them out. I'd also like to discuss the decks. The representation of decks so far. We've seen Druids, paladins, and mages like never before. I mean, druids I sort of expected, but the amount of mid-range pally that we saw and the amount of mech mage is out of this world. Completely out of this world for me.
Yeah, and not only was this right for all 16 players, but today it's even worse. Pretty much everyone has, well, everyone still has Druid, because that was also right yesterday, but pretty much everyone has Mage as well. I think there's only Ecop and Maverick who don't have Mage, and then both of them have Paladin.
Yeah.
So these classes are extremely strong in the current meta.
And Firebat, I think, is one of the only players who did not bring Paladin. I mean, Druid, everyone in the tournament has one. It's
Yep.
probably one of the strongest classes, and I would venture to say that it might have to do with the fact that Savage Roar, you know, we talked about it yesterday, but it buffs more than just the Treants, so you can get a lot of reach off of just maintaining a small board advantage. If they don't manage to remove all the minions that stick, and now with the addition of, you know, Powder Shredder in that specific deck, alongside the older Harvest Golem, you're pretty much guaranteed to always have at least, you know, 18 damage out of Force of Nature, which also reminds me of a play that Nimsh made yesterday, which was, if you remember, the Force of Nature to face like the biggest gamble ever that ended up paying off because he got the second, you know, Force of Nature off the top, and he ended up winning because Thijs didn't have a taunt. He now Nimsh is going to be playing to the finals, and because he got out of the losers bracket. So looking at this. Facing Firebat, that seems to me like is going to be, you know, I almost want to say Firebat is one of the best Druid players out there. He tends to just play that class systematically. He's really, really strong, just like Thijs. I think Thijs' tournament performance hinges heavily on Druid a lot of the time, and Firebat's like he's had a really, really like a love for the class for a while now. He's always playing it in tourneys, so. All right, so Thijs versus Maverick going to be the first match. I haven't seen the interview from Maverick, so we're going to be looking at that in about a minute. They're going to be asking them, you know, very meaningful questions. Which animal companion would you like to be? Where would you go back in time given the choice? I hope Maverick has something as creative as Carlos for answers.
Maybe he's also teamed up with Arnold.
Yeah, I don't think we're not gonna see Arnold today. Like it's unfortunate, but Arnold is gone. Carlos being
Yeah,
gone, Arnold has to go as well. I don't know if he got killed in his sleep by Arnold himself, but
let's hope not.
that's definitely a possibility. I'm
Let's
just
hope
sad
not.
we don't see Carlos again today because he's a deck builder that's very good. I mean, I've seen from his deck list that he's definitely a good deck builder, a really solid player, and I'm sort of disappointed that he got knocked out of the finals potential.
All right, well, let's go and check Thijs and Mavericks' interviews.
Be right
Hello,
back.
I am Thijs Mollendijk from the Netherlands, playing for Team Nihilum now and playing Hearthstone a bit more than a year now, and already have some good achievements and play a lot of Hearthstone. I think it is a nerf that is really gonna change the meta. I still think Hunter is really viable, but it makes it it is just a huge nerf, and it is something that the meta was so dependent on the Undertaker that it is a really cool nerf. I like it. Control decks will get a bit stronger, and the meta will make changes. Yeah, I would go for Misha. It is the safest pick, the best stats, a 4/4 on the board, never bad. I will go for Misha. It will be BlizzCon for me. I was so close to be there, lost in the last round to Colento at the AU regional, so it felt really sad that I couldn't be there. So if I really wanted to be there. Okay, I would go for admirable. Like having a draft behind you, it feels really good, feels safe. I think I can need someone like him there.
Hi guys, I'm Maverick and I'm a Belgian player for Team Millennium. I think it's really good for Hearthstone, and Undertaker was completely broken. I would prefer to be Liuk to increase the other. Probably my English lessons. Probably Lothar, because you know, he's probably a good partner to fight.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Mad Catz Battle of the Best. So we saw the interviews with Maverick and Thijs. Whale, what is your favorite card in Hearthstone?
You know, definitely not one of the shredders because they spawn random units and it's very it's not something I appreciate.
Yeah, the variance is very annoying. All
Indeed.
right, so back to seriousness. I got an amazing announcement, a personal announcement that nobody remotely cares about, but the wedding ring I bought for my wife is arriving in the mail sometime today or tomorrow. Now, back to the tournament. So, Thijs, you know, really solid player. Maverick, fairly unknown. Not somebody that I've really heard much about. Thijs is probably one of the most accomplished players in the Hearthstone scene right now. Arguably, probably one of the strongest overall. Really good ladder performance. Got, you know, he now is in Team Nihilum, so he's got a really strong core team with life coach to be a part of. You know, there's Lothar as well in there as a team manager. And I'm always forgetting somebody in that team. I'm always forgetting someone.
Lothar.
There,
No, you said Lothar.
No, there's life coach. There's
RDU.
RDU. That's right. That's RDU. RDU, life coach, and Thijs. Three players of probably one of the most, you know, it's one of the most recent teams. I think there was Team Archon as well. But we're gonna see Thijs play his Warlock, his fetish handlock, I think.
All right, and so Maverick Warrior. Oh wow, Oh yeah. Well, Maverick definitely knows that this is handlock because he's seen Thijs play yesterday. That's why he's throwing the Fiery War Axe. So great job of Maverick to study his opponent between yesterday and today's matches.
The most important cards in this matchup are probably, you know, Big Game Hunter for one. Ideally, you want to get, if you have anything like that, a Silence and Executes for the Giants to make sure that your removal is at least good. And if you're looking at Maverick's hand right now, that Cruel Taskmaster Execute is perfect to deal with Giants.
And also, he's going to have a lot of armor. So what Thijs wants is, he'd like to play something on 3, ideally a Farseer, so he can chip in that armor, so that his Giant doesn't get hit for 8 on turn 4.
Yeah, because if there's too much armor already on Maverick, by the time the Giant comes out, which is possible, albeit not the most likely outcome, then that could be problematic. Because right now we're looking at Maverick, and he's going to be able to armor up and play the Fiery War Axe, which lets him, on turn 5, when the Giant gets played, just shield slam it off. So that leaves him with the Execute for something a bit more problematic down the line.
Yeah, so Thijs would really like to draw a Drake here, because the Drake doesn't die to the shield slam unless Maverick has a shield block. So unfortunately, I guess he's going to have to play the Giant, but that dies to shield slam, and this is so painful to lose a Giant for 1 mana.
Yeah, it's not that bad when you have a second one. Usually you feel sort of okay when you can just follow it up with another Giant or a Drake. But in this specific case, the only threat that Thijs has is a Mountain Giant. His follow-ups are good, but not as powerful as maybe he'd like them to be.
Yep. Maverick's even gonna be able to play the Armorsmith here, which is definitely not the MVP card in this matchup, but at least he's gonna be able to use his mana, which is pretty good.
Yeah, why not play the Armorsmith now? When are you really going to get value out of it outside of Whirlwind scenarios that are going to be a bit awkward? What I need to understand, though, is how exactly do you kill a Giant with a shield slam? Like, picture that. Just picture it. I don't think it makes any sense, lore-wise. Goodness. I'll be damned.
I agree with you at the same time. I mean, I'm not a WoW player, so I had to say I don't care that much about the lore. Maybe that hurt some people's feelings, but I'm here for the card game.
Yeah, like, it's like forcing. I don't roleplay much, you know? Like, I tend to avoid roleplaying. I just can't help but feel that it's so weird that a single shield hit will kill a complete, like a rock Giant. That just That rubs me the wrong way. So shield mating getting played here, guarantee that Maverick's shield slam is going to get even more value as a follow-up. And what I like from Thijs here is he can play Dr. Boom right away if he feels like it. Or he can just curve into Sylvanas and kill the Armor Smith.
So here's the Drake that Thijs would have wanted to play on turn 4.
I think it's still playable though.
Yeah, definitely. Because you'd rather have that Drake get shield slammed or executed than a giant. It doesn't have way more HP, and it still trades pretty good against the warrior's minions, but it doesn't put as much pressure as a giant does. And actually what Thijs wants here is to actually take some damage so he can play the Molten Giants, because if the game lasts for drags on and Thijs can never play his Molten Giants, he's going to run out of threats, and the warrior's going to be able to build up for lethal way easier.
Yeah. So is this a board? I mean, without any giants, I don't think you want to brawl this.
Definitely not. You'd only kill a 4/9 basically, because you don't care about the Sun Fury. The Watcher doesn't put any pressure, so...
Yeah. The thing is, using a shield slam on a Drake when you've got 14 armor feels a bit awkward, because now your only answer to giants that might come out are pretty much gone. I guess the fact that you have a Dr. Boom to apply counter pressure if anything comes out is still a pretty good thing. But Thijs has a perfect answer in case that does happen with the BGH.
Yeah. But at the same time, since Thijs didn't take any damage, he can't really follow this up with any kind of strong pressure. He has Dr. Boom, and then that's pretty much it. Unless he draws the second Mountain Giant, he won't be able to put any pressure until he goes under 20 HP.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe tapping into Sludge Belcher here is because whatever happens with the board between Hellfire and BGH, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel
And
Dr. Boom here is the optimal play? So 7 mana, Dr. Boom, that's just optimal by default.
Rarely a bad play. Like,
Yeah,
as
I
long
can
as you
imagine.
don't die that turn, Dr. Boom is probably the go-to on turn 7. And
Wow. Okay, so if he attacks here, what does that means? I don't want you to attack the Watcher, but I guess Thijs is trying to force again. You know, we talked about the low value of the brawl last turn because it only really killed a 4/9, and in this case, it pretty much only kills Dr. Boom for the exact same reason, right? So it's still a brawl for a single card, and you lose even more value because your Sludge Belcher is out of the way. Do you kill that Watcher with your weapon? Is my question.
I mean, you have way enough armor to do so, and you've already used both shield slams, so the armor is just HP. It's not relevant for any other purpose.
Yeah, I'm just not sure not killing that Watcher. So Boombot lives. Big surprise.
Yep.
And the slime spawns. Let's see where that Boombot goes. And it hits the face for 4. Not a big deal. Oh, let's see. So actually, now that I look at Thijs' board, it feels pretty... And those Boombots are just terrible. They just did nothing at all.
Yep. Well, they forced the brawl. Like, that's the thing.
Right.
If the Boombots weren't there, Maverick would have Cruel Task executed.
Yeah.
So...
And there's really no pressure from Maverick. Even if he does play Grom and gets a Cruel Task, double anti-heal bot from Thijs is going to stop any and all attempts at just putting pressure on him.
Yeah, so Maverick really wants to get to his big late game threats if he runs Ragnaros, Alexstrasza, all these stuff, because Boom's nice, but he pretty much only has Boom right now. The Shield Maiden is mostly there for trading purposes, and Grom is only there as a finisher.
Yeah, what I like though about this situation, for Thijs is the amount of card advantage he has cannot be, really beat by Maverick. Maverick doesn't have his Acolytes of Pain, which are the bulk of his card draw. And when he does draw one, he can then Cruel Task Master it. But at the moment, there's very little that he can do. And Thijs' hand is just incredible. Double Molten, double Heal Bot, Jiraxxus, and BGH to answer big threats. So if anything goes down, Thijs' answers are pretty much, spot on.
Yeah. But then Thijs has answers, but he doesn't want to play Jiraxxus until he's played the double Molten. So once again, his high health total is actually a little bit awkward. But Maverick's gonna have to deal with Sylvanas.
This is not what you want to do because now you have to slow yourself down. Can you really justify playing the Acolyte of Pain and the Cruel Task into this?
No, well, it sounds really bad, but you could execute the Belcher, axe the slime, and then give nothing to Sylvanas. Then you dealt with her. Then you
And
could
then you develop those two?
yeah. Then you could Doctor Boom and Acolyte, I guess.
But an
Um,
execute against you've seen only one Mountain and one Drake.
yeah.
I can't help but feel like that's a truly weak play. Maybe you just kill the slime and I don't know, just pass. I don't know. It feels kind of weird to.
It is weak in terms of value, but if you let Sylvanas have value, it's going to be really hard because now that you leave Sylvanas there, if you play the Acolyte, Handlock's going to get the card draw, and it's not that much of a downside because Handlock can draw anyways. But I wouldn't expect Thijs to let himself get overdrawn, and the fact that Maverick would lose his card draw is very important. And if Thijs manages to suicide Sylvanas and get the 7/7, Maverick is yet again forced to use that execute, which is way worse because he also loses his 7/7.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this right now. I feel like a Hellfire play is pretty much flawless because if the Boombots explode and kill Sylvanas, then you get Boom at 4 health left,
Yep.
which forces an execute from the Warrior. And if that doesn't work, then you can just BGH it off the board if Sylvanas somehow happens to live. So Hellfire feels to me, from Thijs' perspective, to be a near optimal play at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow, Maverick is gonna have a really hard time with this.
Yeah,
But he
and
is sitting on 49 health, pretty comfortable there. There's no giant on the board, so you're gonna take damage, but not an excessive amount. So this game will be, you know, it'll take a lot more turns for this to. Because Thijs can't play his Molten Giants, you know, just yet. It's gonna take quite a while before he can play both at once. Oh, and there
Wow.
goes the Boom Steal.
Yep.
Man, an Earthring Farseer would be disgustingly strong right now, but none of that stuff.
Nope.
I
How
think this is
many
a tap
cards-
and you just play a Sun Fury because... Or Defender, that works too. That way you'll keep the cheaper Taunter for later, when you need it.
Yep, I agree. And this is now Mavericks is yet again forced to use his execute, so I think it would have been better to use it on the Belcher and get rid of Sylvanas.
But this
Good.
is still a pretty decent turn for him. I mean, he plays, you know, the early game. He gets like a second win basically. He plays his 3 early game minions, gets a card draw. He's got the execute for Boom and the axe for the 2/3. Not killing the slime with that axe last turn turns out to have been a really beneficial play.
Yeah, that's a good point. And now actually Maverick threatens lethal. Thijs doesn't know that Maverick doesn't have Grom in range, but he can be afraid of it.
Yeah, well, you know that he might have Grom in hand, but assuming that he's gonna have it with the Enrage is a big assumption because you've already seen one Cruel Task. He's only got one card in hand, so that seems like a far-fetched conclusion to take.
Yeah, you definitely don't assume that he has it, but at this
Yeah.
point, when you have so much of a card advantage, you can totally afford to take your time and make sure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Because
you can play it
that's the only way
slowly,
you die.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I could see him play a Giant and coin a Sun Fury here, because his Boom had didn't get Black Knighted last turn.
Yeah, and it didn't get Black Knight, didn't get BGH, so the odds of a Giant not living are fairly slim. You have to assume that Maverick doesn't have answers to those plays. Yeah, and funny enough, I mean, the antique heal bots are starting to pack up a lot of value. If you look at what's possible next turn, like if any damage is taken at any point, that will really mean a lot.
And I like this play of Thijs to tap before playing the Giant. Basically, taps for free, quote unquote. Then he knows he has a lot of healing to get out of Gromash range.
Yeah,
for
and I
later.
feel like the worst possible outcome in this case for Maverick is if Ragnaros hits face, because this is a turn where he drops Molten, double anti-heal bot, and then trades with the Giant into Ragnaros.
Well,
not the best, but still pretty good. Still pretty
Well, I
good.
guess
let's
as
be honest.
Thijs now, you Motor Coil, play a Giant, and then Siphon Soul.
You can BGH.
seems,
It's even simpler. Yeah, you play
Oh yeah.
Giant, and like it's so simple. You don't even have to heal up. You can just play Giant, BGH, and leave it at that. Like this is
Hmm.
such a strong board for Thijs.
Yeah, that makes sense. That way you keep the healing for when you eventually play Jiraxis.
Hmm.
Because now that both Molten Giants are have been played, Thijs can freely play Jiraxis. Doesn't matter for his health total. He has a lot of cards, so I don't think he needs to draw anymore. He just wants to put the pressure. And playing Jiraxis is very expensive because it takes your whole turn. So you have to set up a board for it, and now is a great time.
You know what? I like what I'm probably looking at here. This Death Bite into killing the Giant. That means that if he doesn't have any more taunts, you can set up a 14 damage burst off of Grom Hellscream next turn.
But
Even if
was
he goes for...
executing now a good idea though? Because Maverick could have hit this Giant again next turn without dying.
Yeah.
And
So now you think it's
then-
telegraphing?
Well, totally. Now Thijs just puts up a taunt or
Well,
heals.
there is no taunt. He has to heal.
Yeah.
That's basically the only play. It's just
The-
playing double anti-heal bot.
Yeah. The
Then
problem
he gets
is,
Alex Strazad.
yeah. But if Thijs had a taunt this turn, Maverick couldn't deal with it. But if
Oh,
there
it
would have
is.
been one, Maverick could have hit the 8-4 again and then executed the second taunt.
I get a feeling Maverick is gonna Alex Strazad and get punished for it because of the second heal bot and the Sludge Belcher.
Hmm.
I mean,
Right.
I don't know how Maverick is supposed to remove this Giant because I mean, you're taking about at least 12 damage a turn at this point.
Mhm.
And the only way to really make sure that you win at any point is to keep Alex Strazad for yourself to heal up and hope that your board can remove his. But I don't think that's realistic. I mean,
I don't.
Ragnaros is gone, and
I think Maverick has to go all in at this point in any way because he cannot deal with this board. So he has to try and win, and it's probably not gonna work. But if he tries to play board control, it's not gonna work.
is he trading with the Giant, you think? Hoping that Thijs doesn't have any follow-up answers?
Okay.
Wow. That's fairly weak. There
Yeah.
is no more real lethal in Maverick's deck.
Yeah, exactly. Now Maverick has no way of winning. Like
Yeah,
not a single.
there are no win conditions left.
Yeah. Unless he
But-
runs Ysera, but even then, Thijs hasn't used a single Siphon yet, so...
That's an interesting card, but I'm afraid the Iron Beak Cal is going to negate the hell out of it since we even... Like, I mean, Maverick says maybe, you know, he doesn't have Iron Beak, but you have to assume that everybody's running the Hoot Hoot in
Twice.
Handlock. Yeah, like, you have at least one, probably two nowadays. Then again, post-Undertaker, do you just cut to one, possibly?
I don't know, personally, I really like them because silence is
Shredders?
always useful in well, yeah, you have Shredders, you have your own Watchers even. Like,
Yeah, of
you
course.
run value for silence yourself, so even if you don't get any value from your opponent, you can still have use for the Owls.
All right, and this is exactly what we expected. The Alex Straza on himself, not really accomplishing much though. I mean, looking at this board, Thijs has 10 damage a turn, and Maverick's ability to... Actually,
Double
he's
Dark
dead.
One's here, so yeah.
There's no way for him to win. It's over. All right, so Thijs takes the game. Very strong player. Maverick getting, you know, beat by one of the strongest players. No shame there. So Maverick's, you know, follow-up lineups. Which classes got banned for Maverick? I didn't keep track of which ban happened on Maverick's part.
Wait,
I think Rogue. The Rogue from Maverick was banned. Because I know he has a
Yes.
Rogue in his lineup, and I suspect maybe that's what Thijs would ban.
Oh yeah, Thijs is yeah, Rogue. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense considering Thijs' lineup. I really do like that ban choice. So Maverick will have access to his Druid and Paladin left, which are not, you know, if Druid is double combo against Handlock, it's still, you know, a winnable match. But you have to be able to just get to that aggression to a point where Handlock can't stop you. And with double anti-kill bot and, you know, the double Sludge Belcher, it feels like it could be a little bit more of a difficult job at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that Thijs is opening with a different deck today, not because he just chose to drink breakfast, but because Maverick's lineup isn't like nothing seems that good for Pally, just like yesterday where Thijs was playing against mostly aggro decks and he could ban the more control deck. And also probably because Maverick might have expected Paladin on the first game since Thijs opened with Pally twice yesterday.
Yeah.
So I really like the little bit of mind games here.
Yeah, I'd like to know if Maverick's deck runs a Whirlwind, because if he does, you know, and Shredders and Golems, because I feel like that makes the matchup against Paladin a little bit more consistent, which, you know, it's an otherwise pretty weak matchup for Warrior. If they don't run that Whirlwind, if they don't run that little bit of AoE early game that can save you just outright when you're facing down a muster for battle that just snowballs out of control.
And it looks like we're not going to have Thijs' side for this game because of the friendless bug.
Oh,
So-
right. Same old, same old.
We know he's handlocked though, so... Oh, never mind. It works.
All right. Oh, I see a BGH here in Maverick's hand. Does that indicate some kind of ramp druid?
Well, his druid is definitely slower than the ones we've seen yesterday because we've seen Cenarius in the mulligans. And with a BGH in your starting hand, that looks pretty good to go against handlock.
Yeah, I feel like this is maybe a deck that runs one combo and perhaps not two, though.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, Cenarius is being played less than it used to, but still quite. And I feel like it's more of a card you run in a one combo deck. I mean, then again, looking at this hand, it's pretty standard. You could see, you know, very aggressive druids run Sylvanas and a BGH. It's not unheard of. It's possible, and we haven't seen any ramp tools so far. So it might just be a really fast druid.
Yeah, and I like Maverick's choice here to coin the shade, because on next turn, he's just gonna hero power instead of playing the shade. But on turn 4, he could not coin the Druid of the Claw because he's gonna want to BGH a giant.
Yeah, there's possibly a giant that comes out, and it also forces Thijs, if he has a Hellfire, to use it right now. Which is a really, really weak Hellfire if you think about it. Because putting Thijs on either playing a giant and having the perfect answer, like in this case, or you forcing your opponent to Hellfire a single shade, that gives you value since you're going to be able to transition into a very nice turn 4-5.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Thijs, not only does he not have Hellfire, he also doesn't have a single turn 4. No giant.
Yeah,
no,
I can't.
no
it's
Drake.
fine though. I feel like that Ancient Watcher and the Shadow Flame potential of it is pretty strong. If Maverick extends any more on this board, Shadow Flame could just seal it.
And this is awkward for Maverick because he wants to press his advantage and try to
But he
finish the
can't
game on
yet,
turn 9 with a combo, but he has nothing.
He has to unstealth his shade at the very least here. Oh, well, okay. So do you play the giant here, or do you play Lotheb? I mean, you probably want to keep Lotheb for combo plays, just to make sure that you don't get completely taken off guard on turn 9 as they're about to drop the combo. But playing the giant is a much more, I guess, aggressive play that forces... I mean, I wouldn't feel too good about it, though, because if you play giant, Wrath would take it out. He doesn't even need BGH. Between the Shade and Wrath, you'd be able to get the giant dead. It is a 2-for-1 that doesn't cycle, but you give him initiative, so I feel like Lotheb is probably a stronger option. It does the same thing as the Ancient Watcher did last turn, which is put something to contest an unstealthed Shade.
Yeah, and also playing the giant would have meant a waste of 2 mana because you're not going to Dark Bomb the face. And he couldn't draw because then he'd burn a card at the start of his turn, so at least Lotheb uses 5 mana, and then next turn he can play 3 mana for the giant and then use his Dark Bomb on a minion.
Yeah. If he doesn't attack here with the Shade, I fully disagree with that line of play. He has to attack the at least into Lotheb. I don't know. He has to at least unstealth it. I mean, you can't afford having it Shadow Flame after he attacks Root of the Claw. That would be way too much value lost.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to see the value. This is a 3-drop. Trades with a 5-drop. Pretty good.
Exactly.
Just take the value and no need to be extra greedy.
And I like this turn here for Maverick. Silencing off Sylvanas is going to give him the ability to cycle the Wrath for a single card draw. It's not a lot, but it's going to be at least somewhat useful. Being able to see more of his deck if he runs combo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he does run combo since he has Savage Aura. I'd be very surprised if he didn't run the Treants. So, oh, double combo. Wow. Okay.
Not necessarily. What? Okay, he's not silencing Sylvanas. What the hell? Wait. What is he keeping the silence for?
Azure Drakes and Taunts. There's a lot of space for for silence against handlock. What I dislike about this play is the fact that he's like the 2-4 body is at least something that you have on the board. But now not only do you not have your 2-4, you also don't have the 4-1 that you just gave up.
Yeah, that's what feels
Now,
weird to me. It's mostly the fact that he's not taking advantage of at least putting something down. Like, I recognize that, Twilight Drakes are going to be problematic, but letting the handlock take initiative on turn 7, that feels like a massive gamble to me, not having a single thing to answer his board with.
yeah,
Although
exactly.
there is a hero power on the bomb, Keeper of the Grove, the other bomb, then BGH. If you innervate, you can actually do all those actions.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe that's the way for him to take the board then, because basically what Maverick wants here is to force suboptimal plays out of Thijs because Thijs is going to be afraid of the combo in 2 turns.
Yeah,
And
Thijs
if
is
Maverick
high
can,
enough on health. He's got anti-kill bots. I don't think he's going to be that worried. He can even tap before heal botting.
yeah, but as long as Maverick has 2 minions on the board, he threatens lethal
Oh, of course.
with the
Yeah.
combo. So playing a heal bot is a suboptimal play because it doesn't really contest the board. It heals, but buys time. It doesn't really help either clear the board or put pressure on Maverick.
Alright, so BGH has been seen. I think this would be a nice time for Thijs to start dropping the Giants. You can double trade. I mean, if you can deal with that Sylvanas first, you can then start running Giants, because one BGH has been seen. Not everybody is running 2 of them. Oh, wow, okay.
Do you just run the bomb and then...
Yeah, I mean, you could even... You run the bomb in. If it doesn't hit Sylvanas, you Dark Bomb Coil.
Oh,
you've
this is
got...
so great. This is excellent.
Actually, Maverick can take advantage of this somewhat, if he wants to.
Well, he can make a Yeti out of this Watcher, but
Yeah, not exactly the
still costs the
strongest.
silence, so
Yeah.
it's decent. It's not the worst, but well, it's gonna help him put pressure.
I'm looking at this giant right now, and yeah, having to use BGH on Boom is actually a massive, swing here, because using, the BGH in a handlock matchup on something that is not even nearly as threatening as a giant is really bad. I mean, you have to kill Boom, but those giants that cost very little and you have no answer to just become excessively problematic. I mean, as a result, unless a swipe is top decked, to use with the Ancient Watcher who becomes a Yeti, this is gonna stick around.
Yeah. So Maverick chooses to go to draw, and I kind of agree with him because his current hand doesn't really help get the board back.
Yeah.
He also wants to get the combo so he can take advantage if Thijs overextends a little bit. Well, just decides to not clear and chooses to put too much pressure.
Yeah. I'm looking at Maverick's hand right now. We see a Chewin Yeti, not a card that I've seen very often in Druid recently. It's been completely cut out for Paladin Shredders in just about every single list, because it seems to accomplish something similar. It on average has the same stats, if not more, because you get a second round of attack. It's got more stickiness, quote unquote. Do you think that's just because of it deals with spider tanks perhaps a bit more effectively and then forces the mage to answer it in mech mage? Because I don't see why run Yeti over Paladin Shred right now. I can't comprehend why that would be an optimal pickup.
Well, if you expect the Yeti to attack a second time, the Yeti is going to have 4 attack on its second swing, but the Pilot Shredder is going to have, most of the time, less than that. Also, maybe Maverick just hates the variants. I mean, some people just don't like it and refuse to put the Shredders in their decks because they want reliable minions that they don't want to rely on RNG. So I could see that as well. But this also, the fact that Maverick runs Yetis kind of explains his awkward early game here.
Yeah, definitely, because there are no Harvest Golems that we've seen. I haven't seen the usual array of early game stickiness that we see in double combo druids. Instead, we see the much older, I guess you could call it that, the much older, quote-unquote fast druid, which is actually much slower than what we have nowadays, with the Shredders, the Haunted Creepers, even the Loot Hoarders for card draw, Azure Drakes. This is a much more typical ramp double combo deck.
And this is quite annoying for Maverick to have drawn the Yeti and the Wild Growth just now, because if he would have had these cards in the early game, the game would look so much different now.
Yeah, and I think this is a weakness of these decks. And what I'm gonna say here is because ramp is so heavily reliant, especially this kind of ramp where you're trying to be fast, but the speed at which you're gonna be fast heavily depends on you getting that wild growth. It's like wild growth is nearly the optimal card for you in that. But if you don't get it in the early game, you just get snowballed out of the game. It's very hard for you to come back.
Yeah, and like especially since Druid doesn't have a lot of single target clears, and Swipe is a decent board clear, but like not a complete board clear. It's mostly a single target plus bonus on other minions. So it's really, really hard for Druid to keep the board without minions, especially when you run Yetis and Spectral Knights and Shades, which are minions that don't have battle cries. You need to already have them on the board if you want to use them.
Yeah.
So it's extremely hard to maintain the board when all of your cards only have an impact the following turn.
So look at this board here. I mean, Dice made a really nice play with the Azure Drake, wiping the board and forcing Maverick in a position where suddenly he has to trade way too many cards for a single giant. You know, that's the strength of Dr. Boom earlier, that it actually forced Maverick to use a BGH on it, which leaves him with 0 answers to even the smallest of giants. That's the first one we see. He just doesn't have a way to answer it, and now in order to kill it, he has to commit at least scenarios and possibly Keeper of the Grove with a Savage Roar on it, which leaves him with a board that is a board, but it's nothing very, very strong. Oh
Yeah,
wow,
no,
that is a gamble if I've ever seen one.
Well, does Maverick really have a choice here? He could...
You have to keep your
I
Savage
guess.
Roar, and you have to do it. You can't just do this. I mean, this is a pretty heavily losing play. There is no way for Thijs to lose. He has lethal now with Hellfire and the Dark Bomb, or Hellfire. It's not even a top deck lethal here. He just had it in his hand already. And Maverick will go down again to face damage from Thijs. Those Dark Bombs and those Hellfires actually paying off as direct damage.
Yep.
It's incredible between Dr. Boom and the Dark Bombs and the Hellfire, just how much more lethal potential has been added, even when you cut out the old Leroy Jenkins shenanigans and the Arcane Golems OTK that people have been trying to bring back.
Yeah, I really agree. And this last play from Maverick was questionable. I mean, I can understand it when you're behind, you take bigger gambles for sure. So he tried to set up lethal for the following turn, and Dr. Boom is very hard to remove, especially since the Shadow Flame had been used just before. But I think he underestimated the odds of Handlock actually having the 4 damage that he needed.
Yeah,
5 damage.
He needed 5 damage, but I think it's
Yeah.
way too, like, the odds of the Handlock not having it at this point with so many cards sitting in his hand for that long. Sure, there's going to be some healing. Sure, there might be Siphon Souls and, you know, situational cards, but you have to expect that there are, you know, direct damage cards or Hellfires. There hasn't been a really good time for him to play this, and the Giant has dealt 24 damage this game. It attacked 4 times, so all that was really needed on Thijs' side was he's running 2 Hellfires, 2 Dark Bombs. That is nothing. Finding 2 of those in your first 20 cards is the most likely thing in the world. And I really think the play that Maverick made, although he might have thought it was time to go all in, I think he could have at least attempted to get the Keeper of the Grove Savage Roar, and because he found Force of Nature, so if he just managed to set up a follow-up after this, maybe he would have been able to stabilize and win.
Yeah, especially since he had the second Savage Roar, so he could totally spare one. This
Yeah,
turn,
exactly. And there were no Molten Giants. I mean, you might expect another Mountain, but Thijs would have probably played it, you know, the previous turn, as opposed to what he did. So there are reasons maybe to justify the play that Maverick made, but I feel overall it was way too risky for that specific stage of the game with so many cards in hand.
But I mean, I had to defend Maverick here in a sense that he's playing a tournament.
Yeah,
This is a lot of stress.
this is
and
Thijs.
he's already yeah, I mean, he's against Thijs. He's already down 0-1. He doesn't want to lose the second game and have to 3-0 Thijs if he wants to keep going. So there's a lot of pressure that actually has a huge impact on your thought process and your ability to just calculate the odds, and
Yeah,
at
and
some point you just go, well,
stressing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just do. I'm guilty of just doing this in tournaments systematically. Where I'm looking at the board and I'm overthinking so much that I take unnecessary risks. or I just don't make the obvious solid plays. And that's a case of tournament stress, I guess, tournament nerves. And that's maybe what happened to Maverick here. We know he's got a Paladin deck left. That is not a terrible matchup against Handlock. But against double anti-kill bot and double Hellfire, especially double Hellfire, with double Dark Bombed in with Knife Jugglers, if he's playing a mid-range deck that's very focused on the early game, this is going to be much more difficult.
And I think the fact that Thijs runs double Hellfire, and I think he runs double Shadow Flame as well, is kind of interesting because a lot of handlocks have been cutting this second Hellfire because, sure, it helps clear the board, but it's only 3 damage, it doesn't always clear everything, and it deals damage to yourself. So,
yeah, well, it's not really a problem if he's running, you know, the double anti-heal bots the way that he is. I feel like having 16 extra health pre-GVG, running double Hellfire in, you know, even against Zoo was sometimes even a liability because sure you would get Moltons out, and it feels to me like post-GVG with the anti-heal bots, you get Molten Giants out a lot later, but you still, as a result, you know, when you play them, or just one of them, following it up with an anti-heal bot is a massive board swing. You're out of range of lethal, and you've got yourself an 8/8. It's an amazing card. In those, it got even better, I feel, at this point.
that's a good point, and here both players have a pretty amazing early hand, actually. Maverick has
I mean,
great
there's a
curve,
Shadow
and
Flame,
Thijs
but...
has... Yeah. And I don't have a lot of experience in this matchup, but I guess the mini-bot's Divine Shield is going to be kind of annoying. Even though they only deal 2 damage a turn, you can end up poking the handlock pretty hard.
I'll be honest, I think, oh, that BGH is going to be amazing when that Giant gets played. I was going to say, I feel like if he plays the Muster for Battle, he's opening himself up. I mean, he's forcing Thijs to coin out a Hellfire, so things don't escalate out of control. Do you coin out Drake in this case?
Yeah, I think you would coin Drake. You don't care if you Hellfire and your Drake takes 3 damage because you keep pounding the face. And because you know Quartermaster's not coming next turn anyways, so might as well put some pressure. If Maverick can put more minions on the board to get more Hellfire value, this is perfect for Thijs.
Yeah, so he's going to try to extract as much value. I mean, he's not starving for threats. We're looking at a Twilight Drake and a Mountain Giant. They're going to be pretty much on curve, turn 4 Drake number 2, and then a Mountain Giant following it up, you know, right afterwards. And if things escalate, all he's got to do is Hellfire the board, and things should just go back to normal.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see Hellfire here, because you cannot let Quartermaster happen next turn, even though Maverick doesn't have it. And it's still insane value. Like, what's very good on Muster for Battle is that... What? No, I
so he's
disagree.
playing around that specific board wipe, knowing that if he doesn't put it down to 3 health, Hellfire will just wreck his board while leaving Thijs' board unscathed. Oh, he could put it down... Okay, you know what? I think what he's thinking is if I get Hellfire, the Drake goes down 3 health, he then attacks a 2/2, then I can consecrate it off the board if necessary. So putting it down just 2 health makes it so it's actually consecratable.
Or he could hit it with his face too.
Yeah, his face. Like Hellfire here would put the Drake at 1 health, so it's either going to be consecratable or attackable with the Lights Justice. You do take 8 in the process, but you remove the Drake without sacrificing too much. I feel like Maverick's thinking here was pretty much spot on.
Yeah, it's actually pretty great. I thought he was sending all the 1/1s to the Drake, and I would have totally disagreed. But now he's both forcing the Hellfire and having setting up an answer for the Drake. So I like this a lot.
Oh, that second Twilight Drake from Thijs, though, is pretty much on point. Maverick was dealing with the first one, but now he realizes, wait, I have to deal with 2 of them now? I have no equality. I'm not ready for this. And I think Quartermaster would surprisingly be... It would be an amazingly good card here for Maverick. I mean, if you're looking at this, Thijs is saying, oh, you want to play that game? Now I'm going to force you to lose your Divine Shields if you want to kill my Drake, which in return is going to allow me to get a clear Hellfire.
Yeah, and I like this because that way Thijs puts more pressure, and he says, well, if you have Quartermaster, you get good value out of it, but I'm Handlock. I'm going to outvalue you anyways. So,
oh, what about a Consecration, and you trade your face plus the 1/1s into that Drake? Maverick cannot play into that Hellfire. It's not realistic at all. Oh, wow.
okay, I like this. this is pretty good. I thought for a moment that Maverick was misinterpreting last turn from Thijs as a lack of board clear, but yeah, it's
I mean,
decent.
still, Thijs'
Ma-
value here is pretty much top notch. Like, there's really, I think, you know what, this might be a turning point because of Big Game Hunter. I think
Yeah.
this is as close as we're gonna get to a turning point for Maverick, and if he stays, you know, if he stays cautious, if he doesn't, you know, overextend beyond this point, I think he'll be fine. Because what I'm looking at right now is Thijs is gonna get a perfectly clear board next turn. Drake plus Hellfire will completely wipe this, and it will still leave the Drake. So playing BGH would give Thijs even more value out of the Hellfire. So I feel like Thijs has a good answer to this nonetheless.
I have no time for
This is a
But-
really awkward turn here for Maverick.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty much.
I'm liking this.
There's nothing that felt good actually.
I'm liking this because if he now overextends and kills the Drake, suddenly there's no drawback to the board clear.
And
Oh, you know what though?
I mean,
Iron Beak Owl.
well, he could Iron Beak and Shadow Flame.
Yeah, and kill most of the stuff if the Drake is killed, weakening the Aldor down to 2 health. But Maverick's not doing that. He's apparently deciding to go full face.
Which is surprisingly.
He did not attack with a
surprisingly-
2/2 to prevent the Molten Giant. Okay.
Yeah. Which isn't in Tide's hand. But still a great call from Maverick because he couldn't handle that. Well, he couldn't handle 2 Molten Giants. But I still feel like if Tides would have played 1 Molten and a Sun Fury this turn, it would pretty much be game.
If Equality stop deck Consecration can wipe the board. I mean, Thijs must be playing around some kind of equality at this point. What I'm looking at from Thijs though is that he can get a 50-50 on giving his opponent the Drake. And like he can
I
even
don't
do
think-
better than that in Iron Beak Owl Sylvanas. Like it's just crazy
Yeah.
the way that like the answers that Thijs has right now are just out of this world.
Yeah, Tides isn't a 50-50 player, so I wouldn't expect. What? Never mind. Okay, well.
He gets a
okay,
perfect
'cause
Hellfire regardless. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Like Thijs' answers to this are just flawless.
Yeah, since there's the Hellfire, this actually makes this play not that, like, not a bad 50-50.
Alright, so the Drake has 1 attack, still not exactly threatening lethal, and Thijs is awkwardly low on health for somebody who's supposed to have anti-kill boss. There is none of that right now.
And there's the Maverick's equality. Not sure if he would have used it last turn for just that 1 giant, but now at least he has board clear, which is very nice for him.
Yeah, if everything goes right for Thijs and the board gets established, Maverick can buy himself a little bit of time. But looking at this board here, I feel like Thijs not having healing in his hand can't possibly feel too good about it. I mean, do you Lotheb? You're almost too vulnerable.
Oh, a
Uh-oh.
juggler.
That is absolutely not.
You don't want to give a juggler to a paladin.
No, I think you have to use your Defensive Argus just yet. You can't Lotheb because you might just get completely obliterated, won't you?
No, because Lothar prevents. Well,
Oh, the muster for battle
prevents
anyway.
for
Yeah.
battle. Yeah.
Okay, and even if it does
it's
go
possible,
through,
but
yeah, Tyrion.
yeah.
If that kills the Drake, I mean, do you kill the Drake with your weapon, or do you put your opponent on 4 health? I feel like Maverick knows there's no Molten Giant coming up. Like it's just not happening.
Yeah, and like, I don't think there's a difference between 5 and 4 at this point, because if dies Hellfires, then consecrates lethal.
Mhm.
If the juggler hits the face, consecrates lethal, and if there's healing, well, that one point of HP won't matter because there's no lethal.
So being Thijs here, if you look at this board, are you happy to go and Iron Beak Owl Tyrion, then anti-Killbot and trade your Lotheb into Juggler? Or does that, because it will leave Tyrion up. I mean, I can't think of a way for him to effectively deal with Tyrion, like very effectively deal with Tyrion, I mean.
I don't think you can give a 15 damage weapon to Maverick right now. Like, Tyrion hits for 6, the weapon hits for 5, but
3 times, yeah. It's...
yeah, but Tyrion should not hit 3 times, so I think this is better.
Oh,
Doesn't
I
feel
guess if you defended Argus, you could trade into that 6/6. But anti-killbot is so much safer. So much safer in general than playing the defender. Because equality consecration means you lose the game right away.
Yeah.
Alright, here we have the muster for battle with the quartermaster if things go wrong. And looking at this, this is pretty much flawless for Maverick. Gets a board clear with the Lice Justice, going to kill and finish off that anti-kill bot, prevents any taunting. No Molten Giants in his opponent's hand based on what he knows. He's got the equality and things can, like, in case things get pretty bad for him. He still has a 6/6. Thijs has absolutely no really good way to deal with it. And the quartermaster going to buff up those 1/1s if nothing gets done.
This is an excellent draw. This was an excellent draw from Maverick, and this could be a good draw for Thijs. He can at least taunt this. But Maverick has equality, so...
I think you just Shadow Flame everything off the board here. Like, you just giant Shadow Flame, and I don't know what you do after that, but...
Yeah, but at least he can clear Tyrion now, because now that Handlocks aren't running the Leroy Power Overwhelming combo, it's way harder to get big Shadow Flames from your hand, because you spend 4 mana on the Shadow Flame, and you don't have Power Overwhelming anymore to buff a small creature. So it's hard to put anything that's really big that would have 6 attack other than the Molten Giant to Shadow Flame.
Yeah, I just feel like even though you're doing this, you're making this play. You know what? This is also a pretty decent play. Because it puts down a little 2/3 on the board, just to make sure that if 1/1s come out, you at least have some sort of an answer to it.
Yeah.
But now Thijs, still no healing in his hand. This is... And no Sludge Belchers. I mean, he's got a lot of outs in his deck. Any Taunter is going to be helpful. Like Sunfury Protector, you can play with Dr. Boom.
Yeah, Thijs is on the rope, but he just needs one draw. One Belcher.
One anti-kill bot
and
again.
he's totally fine. Just Jiraxis would be great. So a lot of draws are excellent for Thijs.
Looking
Oh,
at
the
this, I
juggles
feel like Thijs can't Hellfire anymore. So that's a problem. Ooh.
Oh, there's Jiraxis. Is this gonna be enough? I mean, there's no choice.
It's gonna kill the
Might as
3/3 and it's gonna kill the 3/2. So you're gonna kill the juggler with that 2/3. You're gonna kill that 3/3 with your face. You're gonna be on 12. There's gonna be a 2/5 and a 1 attack weapon, and then you've got Dr. Boom. You can finally justify Hellfiring. Finally, I feel like Maverick's got something.
Now any turn Thijs has a 6 mana, 6 damage removal all around by Hero Powering and Shadow Flame. So it's gonna be very, very hard for Maverick to establish a board. And whoa.
Yeah, Thijs is gonna take another 3 from the 3/3 because he knows that he can Shadow Flame next turn. That's probably his plan at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's not gonna take more than 3 either way from this recruit if he plans on the Shadow Flame. I was gonna say if Lothar comes out, this is only time where this backfires. Oh my goodness, you've got to be kidding me. I was about to say if Lothar is top deck, this is gonna be excruciating for Thijs. And lo and behold. Okay, I think you're forced. Oh, this is not real.
You can
Equality is
taunt the
just
bomb
gonna
and-
deal with it. It's just over. It's like you have to play Dr. Boom and Sunfury and a Boombot, but then your opponent has, like, you don't know it, but you're still playing into equality, which is problematic. But in this specific case, there's even a BGH with the Boom. How shall I destroy you? I don't know, Thijs. You tell me. How shall I destroy you?
The greed.
All right, well,
from
let's see what
last turn
Thijs
didn't
does
pay off.
here. The obvious desperation play here. Interestingly enough, you know that the Dr. Boom's strength also comes from the fact that it spawns more bodies than itself in many ways. If you look at this current board state, Thijs only had one way to taunt. Like, he would have been able to taunt an Infernal and the BGH, but he doesn't want to, you know, throw out the BGH just for no reason. So in this specific case, Dr. Boom's ability to spawn more than one minion is playing a big role. And looking at this, I don't know that there's any way for Thijs to get out of this.
The 1/1 goes into the bomb and then BGH.
And this is a good game. There is no way for Thijs to get away from this lethal.
Oh, the greed. If he didn't take
The extra 3? No, he was
The
still
3/3.
dead with the weapon.
no, he'd be pretty sure he'd have 1 HP.
He'd be one off
Was it-
lethal?
Yeah, he was,
Oh goodness.
because he was at 6. He would have been at
Yeah,
9.
you're right,
and
you're
it
right.
was- yeah.
He was exactly getting overkilled by 1 instead of 2, so he would have had plus 2 HP over what he's got right now, which means he
Yeah.
would have lived on 1 health. But I don't think it was a greedy play. I feel like you don't play around Lotheb at this point. There's 2 cards been sitting in your opponent's hand. If you had a Lotheb earlier to deny the first Shadow Flame that you did with Molten, he would have already played it. So I
Right.
do feel like the play that he made was still the right one, regardless.
Was the 3 damage to the face that relevant?
It was a 1
Because-
damage thing. It really was, because it's not to deal damage to the face. It's to not kill the 3/3. There's no point to killing the 3/3 if it's going to get Shadow Flamed next turn, really. I mean, in this case there was, but I can't really... I guess it prevents the Lotheb top decks, pretty much. But that's
Yeah,
about
like-
it, really.
Like, yes, it does prevent Lotheb top decks, but like it was the small risk of a Lotheb top
Lotheb.
deck being lethal worth the 3 damage to the face, because what did this 3 damage accomplish? Like, Thijs wasn't setting up lethal for any time soon. He wasn't really putting Maverick on a clock, so
It was
I don't
pretty
know.
close, but not... I mean, he put his opponent on 11 health, which is 4 attacks away from Jiraxis lethal. So I think putting his opponent on a 4-turn clock might have felt like a valuable play for him, especially with Hellfire just around the corner. But overall, I would, you know, he took a risk. He got really, really atrociously unlucky. That was 1 card. Let's be honest, that was 1 card in the deck of Maverick that could have helped him
Yeah.
get out of this situation. So Thijs is going to be moving on to his Paladin. It's going to be a Paladin mirror, probably a nearly identical deck list. We've seen a lot of those Paladins so far. Mid-range Paladin,
no.
shielded mini-bots.
Thijs is playing the Cogmaster version with double juggler.
Yeah,
so
the Cog Hammer
he's
version,
faster
definitely.
than Maverick. Yeah.
There is double juggler in Maverick as well. So the only difference is the Cog Hammer, which I think in this
Okay.
specific case is going to play a big role, because removing those shielded mini-bots and getting an extra round of Divine Shield is just going to be amazing. Thijs has gotten the Cog Hammer pretty much systematically since we've seen him. Pretty much every single time he's been able to get the Cog Hammer with the shielded mini-bot.
Yep. He's pretty good at drawing the Coghammer.
Nicely done, Thijs. Like, pretty much pro skill right there.
Yeah. And that's actually super good. He's going to be able to kill both mini bots and still have his alive.
Reporting for duty.
I expected the Cog Hammer turn, but he's playing
Yes,
into
but it-
Consecration.
He's well, that's a little bit more aggressive.
I feel
it-
it's odd, actually. I feel it's really weird, because Consecration becomes so much more threatening now, to an extent. You could have gotten 2 free shielded mini-bots and done that afterwards. I guess he didn't want to waste, quote-unquote, his Cog Hammer if he had to replace it with Light's Justice. So that's probably an argument.
Maybe it's because he feels like
For duty.
he's not going to win just by an early game tempo, but he
He
took
still
one
had a
damage
good mid-game
like,
one. Alright, so I
yeah, he
guess...
took one damage for nothing here. He should have hit the 1-1. But yeah, I think he wants to keep Coghammer to... Like, what if you can give Divine Shield to Lotheb and trade into another 5-5? That is so huge.
Yeah, you can actually kill the Sludge Belcher's first body.
And wow, Maverick's role here was terrible, because now Thijs can clear the board with his own board, and then...
I mean, you could
Keep-
even just go for the Cog Hammer play, as awkward as it is. I mean, there's so many ways for Thijs to capitalize on this board presence at the moment.
Well,
I might as
think
well
I
just
like this,
trade.
like you said, if a Belcher comes here, Thijs now can Coghammer, clear the whole Belcher, and still have his Lotheb at full HP. This is a huge tempo swing. Well,
Yeah.
keep of tempo, since Thijs already has tempo. And this
Harrison
is such-
Jones on a weak 1
Yeah, this-
durability Light's Justice. This is horrible.
This is terrible, but that was the only play Maverick could do, so
Yeah, I guess if you're stuck with only equality in hand, you do have to make plays like these to
And now
hope to reestablish the
Coghammer.
tempo, but...
this Coghammer is way better than just protecting a shield and beanie bot. This is huge.
Reporting for duty.
And you still get the value from follow-up Belchers. I mean, the
Yeah.
amount of value he's about to get from that single Lotheb is just out of this world.
Yeah. Is Maverick forced? Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah, he's
out.
forced Aldor. Oh
The
goodness.
5/5 is not the biggest minion that Ty's gonna have, so this outdoor is there to buy some time, and
Yeah.
Maverick's gonna to draw something better.
I have a question though. Do you think Maverick is running Stampede and Kodo? Because we see it in Thijs' hand, and it's a card that has come back in some of the more control-oriented Paladin decks. I remember Firebat brought a very anti-aggro deck with some pre-GVG control elements, the Kingwin charity event just recently. So I'm wondering if Stampede and Kodo is making a comeback as a card in Paladin since it synergizes so well with Aldor Peacekeeper in general.
It's pretty good. It's mainly back because the aggro decks are a little bit slower with the Undertaker not being overpowered anymore, so it helps. But I don't know if Maverick runs it. I have no clue.
Alright, so Thijs is actually getting an amazing board advantage on the back of that Lotheb who killed the Harrison Jones. He's lower on health than his opponent, but that's about to change pretty quickly if Maverick can't, keep putting pressure on.
Yeah, and it's not like Paladin has a lot of reach anyways, so Ty's really doesn't matter being at 17th here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. With Lay on Hands, and you even get the initiative here. Like, there's very little that Maverick can do that's going to scare you. He plays a weapon, you got an answer. He plays a big minion, you got Sylvanas. You got Knife Juggler, Muster for battle if necessary. You pretty much have everything you want.
Yeah, now Boom is slightly awkward, but I guess you can still play Sylvanas like you say, get rid of the bombs, and unless the bombs go really, really crazy, Boom is gonna pretty much get negated by the taunt, and if your opponent goes for an equality combo, you get a 7-1, so that's pretty good.
Let me think.
Alright, so do you trade with Lotheb in those 1-1s? Because, I mean, she's not going to die from the initial hit, so he'd have to RNG Lotheb off the board, and I don't think you'd even care that much if that were to happen. So now, Thijs can actually hit the Dr. Boom if he wants with his face, and then lay on hands to get back on his feet.
Well, not sure anymore.
Yeah, that seems like a way too dangerous play. But look at the amount of
Wait.
damage that Maverick can put down right now with the Iron Beak Cowl.
Well,
That's pretty close to lethal.
Double consecration would be lethal, and
Oh
here's
my
one.
goodness. Wait,
Ty's was
Iron Beak Cowl, Sylvanas, Equality Consecration, go phase.
wow. That's a lot of pain, and Ty's won't have an answer. Like Lay on Hands is completely getting negated by Dr. Boom.
Yeah, so he doesn't even bother with that. He just goes full consecration play. No equality, nothing else. He's just gonna follow it up with.
I really like the owl play. That way there's
no
the
Dr.
board
Boom
is-
steal at any point.
Let me think.
Oh, I mean, I guess with the equality play, your Dr. Boom would die to the shielded minibot, but you still put Ty's at 1 HP.
Yeah, and you still have the Iron Beak Cowl left over after that. So you need to find an answer to the Iron Beak Cowl, which is threatening to kill you anyway. So I do feel like Iron Beak Cowl Equality Consecration is going to put Thijs on lethal unless he finds healing. We know he's got Lay on Hands, but that gives Maverick the perfect opportunity to get the tempo back in his favor.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that last turn's play was quite greedy from Thijs.
Yeah.
Because Maverick could have double consecration and win right away.
Wow, okay, so Maverick just goes for the consecration, doesn't bother equalitying the Kodo off, and I think that is not a play I like. This is...
No, I don't
I
see.
can't
I don't
believe
see
he did
why.
that.
Why do you keep the equality? You won't have anything to clear afterwards, and now
Oh,
you
goodness,
leave,
alright.
you leave
Well, let's see
Ty's
where
a
that
tool to
goes.
stabilize.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to see where he puts that, because I feel like Maverick's mistake here might turn the game around for Thijs. He has the Juggler, he's got the Muster for battle, he's got Lay on Hands. Sure, he can't kill Dr. Boom, but if he Lay on Hands, he can use the 5-3 and the 2-2 to kill Boom, kill the Owl, and that leaves Maverick with only a 1-1, which, let's be honest, is not going to kill Thijs anytime soon.
Yeah, you definitely didn't want to leave.
Sylvanas and the Kodo, there's no way you want to leave that up.
Yeah.
I can't believe this game might slip away from Maverick on the basis of just that one play.
Yeah, I really don't understand why did Maverick keep the equality there? Because he doesn't have a second consecrate. he doesn't have a Pyromancer to clear. Like, this equality is a dead card.
I feel like what he was trying to do was a bit of a fancy play where he thought if Dr. Boom gets equality, then I equality it dies to shield the mini bot, and the owl and it might get consecrated. I mean, I sort of understand what he might have been thinking, but ultimately you still maintain the initiative regardless of what happens at that point. So he was playing around consecration is the only reason why that could have happened, I think.
Yeah, but then if Thijs consecrates, he doesn't lay on hands, so you have so many top decks that are lethal. You have consecration, you have True Silver.
Yeah, exactly. So looking at this now, we have the perfect turn 10, Knife Juggler, Muster, Quartermaster. I don't think it gets much better than this in Thijs' position.
Yeah.
It's not going to be enough to guarantee that you're going to kill anything and, you know, survive, but it does allow you to put counter pressure right away if necessary.
Do you True Silver? Or do you go for the Quartermaster right away? Because you could
What
True
could hit
Silver
you for
here.
6 here? What could hit you for 6 that Maverick would have frequently?
Well, it's just the fact that you get more healing that way, and you just make sure that this Belcher doesn't kill your Juggler, and then next turn you can Quartermaster, because
You need those 3/3s though, because if your board dies to another consecration, this is gone. This is gone.
well, certainly this is not looking too good for Maverick.
Yep, I'm not liking Maverick's position here. It was looking amazing, and suddenly everything got turned around. So the equality is still a very good card. Maybe considering lay on hands as an option to replenish your card draw and get that equality consec that you really direly need at this point is an option that you have to consider.
No consecrate. Oh, Maverick's gonna have to top deck the consecrate next turn, otherwise I don't see him coming back.
Well, he has 2 turns to do it, in effect. I do believe over 2 turns, that would still be fine.
Unless there's Tyrion.
Sylvanas is fine. I mean, you've got the Black Knight to negate it. Sure, he'll get the weapon, but you remove the minion. He's got 2 turns to top deck that board wipe before he's effectively dead, I believe. You know, between Aldor Peacekeeper and Sylvanas, you still have, you know, something. You've got something there. But now there is a consecration in Thijs' hand. This is where things get tricky. You can't really extend much on this board now.
Put your faith in the light.
Well, yeah. So next turn you've got a Black Knight.
Yeah, you got a Black Knight. You're gonna be taking damage, but he won't heal off of True Silver since he probably won't replace it with. He won't replace his Ashbringer, that is. As I said, 2 turns before he's effectively completely dead. Like, that's it.
So do you Black Knight? No, you're dead next turn.
No, you've got Aldor Peacekeeper. You can play. Oh, Muster for battle. If he had a Knife Juggler, that would be a different story, but that doesn't help at all.
No, there is
This is over.
15.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah,
there's no board
damage.
wipe. There's no board wipe.
Yeah.
No, but Black Knight plus Aldor Peacekeeper. Does that save you? 5?
No, because there's
6?
there's
Nah, there's
15
just another
on the
champion
board
anyway.
without Tyrion, so that's a total of 20. Oh,
Yeah.
Maverick is 1 damage off. This is so close. If Maverick would have won if he used that equality the other turn, and like if the 1/1 could have hit the face for 1, or like any single point of damage. I think Maverick's trying to find a way out, but there's no way.
Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to look at all the possibilities here, and any permutation of whatever you do just leaves you empty-handed against most things. Like, I mean, you can Black Knight here and hope for the best. You get a True Silver champion to heal up and kill a minion, but
Well, the only thing you can hope for is if Thijs can't count it to 17.
yeah,
So, that's a
I
lot.
think Thijs is more than able to do that. One-off lethal here.
Wow.
And the time has come to spam the one-off lethal emote, ladies and gentlemen.
Just imagine if 1 bomb would hit for 1 more damage.
Imagine if equality had been played.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be looking at this right now, I don't think. It might have been, I mean, Thijs might have been able to deal with Boom, but the Iron Beak Cowl and the follow-up initiative that you get from it would have been just enough for Maverick to just snowball out of control there against Thijs. He had no removal until he top-decked the equality just now, so Maverick going down to Thijs in the end, going 3-1, I believe. So he did win one game with a Paladin with a perfect Lotheb top deck, but unfortunately, he won't be able to get out of that game. Thijs moving on with his Paladin deck. He's going to move on to the round of 2, which secures that he's going to get one of the 3rd or 4th place, rewards, which is $400. So Thijs at least winner of the round 2 at this point. We have next up is going to be Reynad and Fake, I believe. And apparently, from what I gather, Reynad and Fake both banned Mage from each other's lineup.
Yes. And so, I mean, not too bad for Maverick. Still getting up to here is going to win $100, finishing 5th to 8th place.
Yep.
He's still got to be happy about his run.
Yeah, he's got to be happy, but it's got to... I mean, when you have a chance to beat a player such as Thijs, right, and make a name for yourself in the Hearthstone community, you really want to seize that opportunity, and I think he must feel a little sad about what happened there, because if he looks at the replay, I hope he doesn't feel too bad about the not equalitying. There was a good argument not to do so, but knowing the information we did have, it still, I think, maximized his chances of winning overall.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean, I know that Maverick is currently has a bitter taste in his mouth, but I gotta congratulate him for getting up to there, going all through the qualifiers, getting up to here. He would have liked to go even further, and he's gonna be down for a little while, but he should be extremely proud of himself for
Yep. If you get to fight if you get to fight Thijs in any tournament because you qualified for it, you're probably doing something right. So I think that's going to be it for this specific series. We're going to be moving on to Fake and Reynad after the short break. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after that with Fake versus Reynad. Don't go anywhere.